I stay with the heat even though I'm a sad boy. You better watch the way you breathe around me for that breath be your last boy. I've been drinking red reds, boy. I been chopping out these birds, McCoy. No, I bet my rich a million 9 months. Overseas, honey skin.
November 14, 7 p.m. Tokyo Colony Number 1. Hey, what the hell? Asked Takaba. We continue this with the current main group, as Angel's Kogane would show them the new amount of players entering the colonies. These numbers are in the 800s. With urgency, they quickly stand and will make their way out, and they start to run down the stairs. By this point, night had fallen, but for most of the day, they've been getting rest, and Yuji trained Fushiguro and also assimilated more of his Shikigami, clapping their powers and giving himself a new set of skills once again. In exchange, Fushiguro learns the power of binding vows, which was the next lesson Gojo was going to impart on all of them since they were going to become Grade 1. Kugisaki herself is learning to apply this under the guise of Yaga. Why? Why would all these people enter the colonies? Asks Hana. Takaba says, maybe it's my fault. My popularity just drives people crazy. Eh? Eh? I'm gonna let you have that one because this is all so annoying, says Yuji. As they get down to the lobby and run for the door, however, Yuji in the back would turn and tap a stun grenade as it is thrown at them, instantly archiving it. Everyone else stops and turns asking what's wrong. Come out, says Yuji. But this isn't gonna out. I can't really control myself if I can't see you. I'm gonna erase everything, alright? For a while they're quiet, but then these soldiers would make their way out of hiding, holding guns towards them. Fire! As bullets are riddled their way, Yuji just steps and holds his hand forward, and they seemingly just disappear on contact. What did he do? He's a higher level than the rest of those sorcerers we got. Suddenly, they are all then pulled into the air and collided into one another, as the sound of their bones crashing into each other is just deafening and echoes everywhere, leaving Takaba exclaiming, "Ooh, that's gotta hurt." It's like every time I see him, he has some new way to use his technique. How is it that he's a better teacher than Gojo? Thinks Fushiguro. Yuji, as I've been showing, is taking a lot of inspiration from Gojo, who he considers the strongest. Well, everyone considers him the strongest because he is. One of the new ways he shows this is by replicating his skill set of the owl technique, as he can now manifest a small box anywhere near him. But because it's as small as a marble, he uses a binding vow that allows anything within 10 meters of it to be pulled to it, but nothing more. That's what increases its power so much. So to most people, it just looks like he's using straight telekinesis, honestly. Even Fujiguro will take a while to understand what he just did, even though he's very adept at figuring out techniques by analyzing them. Anyway, they interrogate one of the soldiers and learn that they're going to be hunting sorcerers, but this was clearly a trap. So they take time to help them, even though they honestly shouldn't because, well, they're trying to kidnap and use sorcerers in some big game to gain energy, and you know what I'm talking about. You saw the last part. But they're mere pawns in all of this. This is because their death just increases the concentration of cursed energy in the barriers, which makes Kenjaku's plan easier, and he is planning to kill most of them on purpose and pass it off as an accident, quote unquote. But he also has another plan. While this is all happening, he decides to attack Tengen. November 16, 12 p.m. Kenjaku enters with a look of blinding confidence as always, which disappears instantly when he sees that it is not Choso waiting for him, but Yuji and Yuki. Hey Geta. Which one are you? Asks Kenjaku. The real one or a clone? Yuji isn't here to miss words with this bastard, however, as he begins to bounce on his toes. I'll make you pay for what you did to my family. Suddenly, what seems like a cage encircles them for a radius of 100, and in a blink, Yuji appears knocking Kenjaku into its borders as the sorcerer bleeds profusely while he unleashes a swarm of centipedes his way. We're getting right into it then! His centipedes are decimated by what seemed like a ball, but it then unravels into Yuki's Shikigami that Yuji then grabs. Nue. He whips it forward as it stretches, and when it nears Kenjaku, it would discharge energy, which then explodes, striking at Kenjaku, who jumps back, only to be met by a drop kick from Yuki, which quite literally rips his arms off when he tries to block. Kenjaku realizes that this fight will not be easy, but he's not the type to just lie down and die. First off, This barrier. I'll get rid of it. His arms heal in an instant as he lands, weaving signs and shattering the barrier as he grins while he sees Yuki land down and be handed Garuda. You're much physically weaker currently, a side effect of you splitting yourself. That and trying to hold back Sukuna forcing himself out means you're extremely weak currently. Don't fucking underestimate me. Yuji, however, remains calm and takes deep breaths, saying that might be true, but the barrier is re-established instantly by Yuji himself, who says that right now it literally doesn't matter. Kenjaku in response blindsides them with a bunch of weak curses and then fires a compressed Uzumaki aimed at Yuji's brain specifically. But Yuji senses this and punches at it, reflecting this back at Kenjaku, whose brain is pierced in an instant, leaving his eyes blank. He's shocked, completely caught off guard. Yuji knew that compared to Kenjaku, he has less experience, but he also came from Kenjaku. So amongst all the things that he has earned upon learning and realizing his true self, well, one, it wasn't Kenjaku's intelligence, it was just the ingenuity that comes with the control of cursed energy. So he's just like he's just better at using it than most people. He also used the fact that he could be underestimated and was underestimated, and that Kenjaku wouldn't know what to do against this move that he never saw. But even in his last moments, Kenjaku laughs. Now you bear with the consequences. But seriously, shut up. Tengen, help us! Choso watches the barrier master anxiously as she compresses this barrier, this cage, while Yuki and Yuji would destroy a few curses, and Yuji begins to use his archive as a sort of recycling like system. He takes the curses in, deletes them, and then they turn to nothing in there, and he takes more in, and every time he punches them, they're brought into the archive to begin with. As I said before, unlike humans, curses just disappear when they die, since disconnecting their mind in such a way literally breaks their physiology, and that's what happens when you're in the archive. Your cerebral cortex, or I guess your brain in general, is just disconnected from your body, so you don't even know the passage of time in there, unless you're like Sukuna, who is binded to Yuji's soul. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that again in case anyone was confused, because this technique I made does have a lot of rules. With every punch, she traps curse after curse in box after box, while he essentially recycles over and over, like I said, but this takes a huge toll on his body. For a while, he was just using pure instinct, as he heard the beating of his heart getting louder, and this ringing in his ear kept growing and growing until everything goes black. When he opened his eyes again, Choso was holding his hand and trying to wake him up, as was Yuki. Both looked extremely injured and tired. Yuji, you're okay? Well, no, but I'll heal. My whole filing system is screwed. I never had to process so much all at once. My clone's gonna be vulnerable. 12:45 p.m. Sumiki is rolled forward on her wheelchair towards a barrier by Fushiguro while Yuji walks with them, side by side. Together they meet Maki, who's been waiting for them. Maki-senpai, you look different. I could say the same thing about you. This is just clone me. I mean, it is me, but it gets complicated. Yeah, I figured. Sumika, you ready? Asked Fushiguro. Yeah, I trust you. Fushiguro nods, summoning a Kogane and having them re-enter the Tokyo colony. For her to be taken out of the game, she has to be brought into it, but as usual, they are disoriented. But not like one would expect, as they'll just appear on a rooftop, but they don't see Sumika anywhere. That's when suddenly, though, she appears a few feet away, seemingly having, well, dropped out of the sky, but that couldn't be possible. Oh, I almost fell. How do you guys deal with that? She asks. Huh? Dude, your sister's just lucky as hell. She just chuckles, embarrassed, but honestly, Fushiguro is glad that she's just okay. Quickly, he hands over all the points they gathered to her. Don't do anything stupid, says you. Thanks, Megumi. Alright, when she's scot-free, thanks Yuji. I release Sukuna when I recover and we put an end to this stupid game. Once and for all. Kogane, allow people to travel freely through all Culling Game barriers without exception. The two would turn, frozen with shock as they look at her, and Fushiguro asks, Sumiki, wait, sure. What are you? Who are you? New rule has been added. Players may enter and exit all Culling Game barriers as desired. Now wearing a distorted face, she announces, What do you mean? I'm your older sister, right? Why didn't I take that into account? Why didn't I think of it as a possibility? Sprouting insectoid wings, the player starts to float and leaps away. Come to find me. Make this more fun. You too, Sukuna. Yuji leaps and uses his gliders to chase after her, but right as he reaches and almost catches her foot, a mouth was slit open on his cheek. Finally. He freezes as Yorozu takes off, escaping the bear without consequences, and Yuji just crashes back onto the roof. Itadori! As he stands, Yuji slicks back his hair. Oh yeah, this is all coming together. Before he can even finish his incantation, Sukuna punches Megumi in the gut, knocking the wind out of him before ripping off a pinky finger of his own, which he then stuffs into the mouth of Fushiguro. Though he resists, everything goes black, and Yuji comes back too, his finger healed. But not everything was okay, clearly. No. As he stumbles back, Fushiguro smirks. Finally, I'm proud of you. Pause. When Yuji creates a clone, it's much more than that. He creates a vessel for which all his experiences and power goes into, but not his soul. However, they act as clones because they know what they're meant to do when created instantly, because Yuji had something in mind when he made them, a designation of sorts. Sukuna knew that he wouldn't be able to escape by normal means since he was usually stuck in a box, but with his original self so beaten, a crack was open in Yuji's barrier holding Sukuna, and it allowed him to enter his clone vessel and pass himself on to Fushiguro, and the original Yuji is still recovering. He is suddenly struck in the stomach as he spews blood and is sent flying through 2 buildings, but Sukuna felt like he hit air, and right then Yuji is right behind him, still breathing profusely. Oh, you little shit. You're just full of surprises. However, Yuji himself knew that Sukuna was looking for a chance, and as such, he asked Tengen for a favor. He's using this clone as a puppet for 5 minutes, and the binding vow he makes allows him to return to his original strength, but again, only for 5 minutes. What Sukuna thought he sent flying returns as a spinning folder that then scratches his cheek and shatters, flashing with a bright light. He's blinded. As he screams, he remembers this is the very same flash bomb that a soldier threw at them previously, and he's decked in the stomach by a black flash to his gut, sending him flying through a building. Before he hits another, he recovers and kicks off, holding his hands together. Knew it. Suddenly, a massive, hulking creature that seems to come straight out of mythology appears, towering over everything and cascading electricity down, aiming for Yuji, who starts to emanate electricity and swings up. Sen! His lightning meets the stream and transforms as it blackens and travels through the attack, hitting Niue in its chest as it screams, getting knocked back, screeching. Sukuna feels this immense pain in the chest as well, unsummoning Niue. Hold on. His soul quivers as he realizes it was that girl. Kugisaki comes into mind as he then latches onto the side of the building and leaps, shattering windows and meeting Yuji with a slash while Yuji strikes with another black flash. Why? Why can't you just let things be? Why do you need to cause chaos? Pillar of light suddenly drops on the king, pushing back Yuji as he looks up seeing a crying Hana. Give him back! Give Fushiguro back! Yuji lands back on the roof and starts running for Sukuna again. Keep going! Hana would spam another attack as Sukuna arrives in pain, all while Fushiguro himself is left unharmed. And into this pillar of light, Yuji steps. Damn it. I'm really gonna hate this. Damn it. First technique reversal. And normal. We see a flash of the prison room inside a black box as suddenly Yuji pulls back Fushiguro, who no longer had marks on his body. Yuji backed away himself while the pillar of light suddenly ceased, leaving in a crater the king, who then stood. 4 arms, 4 eyes, 2 mouths, and has 16 fingers of power. Itadori, I'm sorry. No, I just brought hell on earth. Fighting you really is always interesting. Right. That's him? That's Sukuna. That's Ryomen Sukuna. Did we do that? He did, says Angel. A risky choice, but this may be the most effective way. Yuji slowly pushes back Fushiguro and keeps him at bay while he watches Sukuna. No, not like this, the king says. What? Well, this isn't any fun. You constrain yourself by these weaklings you call friends, and me having just returned. I'll make you a deal. We end this later. No. I know you, Itadori. I'd argue there's no one who understands your technique in any way. Unlike me. You don't have the juice. Neither do you. I skewed your curse technique output by 20%. Looks like we both don't have a choice. Just then, a pillar of ice would drop in between them as Hana is knocked away, and this pillar fires massive needles towards Yuji, who activates domain amplification and destroys them as they hit him. Yuji threw the volley, then looks up seeing Urarume and Sukuna riding away. The resemblance still shocks me, says Urarume. Yeah, Kenjaku does the most disgusting things. Fuck. Itadori! Maki makes her way up to the rooftop by scaling it barehanded and asks what happened as she saw everyone was distressed clearly. Anna flew down asking if anything was wrong, with Yuji then suddenly shattering to pieces. Itadori! It's fine, says Fushiguro. Wow, he broke to pieces. He's a clone. Hana tilts her head confused. Seriously? Yeah, Maki says. The real Yuji is with Tengen and the others. What happened? Fushiguro, what happened? The worst thing that could have. Sendai Colony, 2 days later. We see Yuji run along the street as he heads for 2 signatures of cursed energy, currently clashing, not from where he currently is clearly, far ahead. Kogane. Here? Where are they? As we head to a stadium, there Sukuna is in all his glory, looking down on Yorozu from the field while he's in the stands, when they both feel the press of an extremely powerful person. They look up seeing Yuji free falling. Oh, you again, says Yorozu. Yuji Itadori, would you let me enjoy a meal? The king fires a cleave at Yuji, who avoids it as it carves into the stands behind while he lands right before Yorozu. The sorcerer creates what seems like a black box before exploding it forward like liquid, which hardens to sharp-edged spikes. The moment this makes impact, however, he strikes a black flash through it and blows it away, but opens up his hand right before reaching Yorozu and touching her stomach. Ideal form. From Sumiki's body, Yorozu is pushed out, leaving Sumiki so weak that she begins to fall forward, almost be warped away, now safe in the archive. How did you... Oh, yes, it's my actual body. Hi, Sukuna. As she poses, Yuji looks on in disgust as he remarks, so this is your type. Shut your mouth, brat. You got what you came for, yes? Now it's time to settle the score. Just then, Yuji turns and weaves a wave of swords while he takes to the air, as Yorozu remarks that this is her and her hubby's time. Seriously, who the hell are you? Asks Yuji. These swords melt into the same material that was previously used to attack him and transmute into needles and pierce the sound barrier, aiming to skewer him. But each disappears as they get within a certain range of him. He's got another trick. Oh, that's genius, says Sukuna. Yuji set his instant warping to automatic, much like Gojo does for his infinity, but for him, it just uses a copy of his brain holding immense cursed energy as a core, which surrounds him with a black box. Anything he took into his archive was put into his folders, and they all just floated about in there. The archive in itself is just a massive black box, in case anyone else was confused by this point, because, again, I put a lot of rules to this thing. But he simply shrunk it after he analyzed the prison realm. He can now change its shape and inner dimension, meaning that he has damn near infinite space. The only reason the box can't be seen is because he chooses that it will not be. That box was always around him though, because it is a pocket dimension. So it's like he's left a lock on it open permanently, which takes a lot of cursed energy. But that's why it's now automatic. Also, Sukuna is not exactly aware of what Yuji keeps in storage because he himself is just in his inner domain in a box, and he can't see inside the archive, but he can see through Yuji's eyes. That's all. How the hollow black. As Yuji holds his hand forward, Yorozu is captivated by a box which then fractures to many surrounding her and beginning to tear apart her body and soul. She is left frozen, unable to activate her technique while foaming at the mouth and trying to resist. Stop it! Oh, stop it right now! You're not gonna interfere, asked Yuji. She was never that delicious of a meal. God, you're so fucking annoying. With one last scream, Yorozu is turned to a mash of flesh and splatters to the floor in pieces, while Yuji turns to Sukuna as he begins to descend from the stands. I came here to propose something, says Yuji. Just then his head is flung back by a dismantle, and his body continues to be attacked, but his body just hangs back forward unhurt after after all this damage. Not even a scratch on his body. However, he is suddenly pulled back into the air out of nowhere and then struck to the floor by a black flash from a Yuji clone. Now will you listen? Both then think, we're even. Sukuna gets up from crashing and smirks, saying that he knows what the boy will say. Set the time. 24th of this December. Any particular reason? Nope. Meet you at Shinjuku. Be ready by 10 a.m. I'll be facing you first. Sukuna damn near salivates at the thought of what a wonderful meal this sorcerer will become. He himself will have to train as well, which is weird for him, but he agrees. Don't expect to win. This is just a precursor to my victory. No. We're gonna win. Tengen was able to stop any more players from joining the games by threatening to destroy one of her own barriers, which allows the games to continue at all. The reason she didn't end the game yet is because they plan to during the month they have, but for now, there are still some reincarnated players in certain barriers and youth sorcerers who will not be content with being forced out of the game since it's let them unleash their instincts. Itadori walks into a room where all his fellow students had gathered. Okay, I have a few suggestions, he said. Wait, so he actually accepted? Asked Fushiguro. He's obsessed with battle, so yeah. I have a few suggestions myself. Yuki walks forward holding up a book that she hands to Itadori. This holds all my research. About everything I know. About the soul. Well, I heard about your technique. Pretty insane stuff. Yeah, it's even more bizarre than Okotsu, says Hikari. I don't know if I should be happy about that, but I'll take it. The book is word to his archive, and he looks to Choso, asking where Kichizu and Eso went. I think I figured out how to give them better forms. You too, because that body is still someone who was murdered. Don't know how I feel about that. Fair enough. Alright, about freeing Sensei. From what my archives analyzed, the other half of the box is in the Japanese trench 800 meters down. Damn, that guy really took precautions, shouts Sakaba. It makes sense since it is Gojo, but release him, he'll be fine, Shoko says. A few days later. So, Nanami is gone. Now being in Shoko's office, Gojo had just been examined by her, and present with him was also Ichichi. Yes, Itadori really did try his best. That day, it's not an exaggeration to say that he had the whole Jujutsu Tech on his back. Gojo gives a sad smile, proud that Yuji stepped up, but sad that he had to at all. And though Ichichi apologizes for it more than he has to, Satoru says that it's fine and that right now, their main goal relies on nurturing the students. This is actually when Ino steps into the room and he asks to say something. It's about Nanami-sensei. Jujutsu Training Ground number 4. As he strikes his fist towards Yuta, Yuji's attack is caught with his wrist being kicked at. Itadori catches this, pushes down his leg, and releases his fist, striking with it into his chest. Itadori then ducks a kick from Maki and turns, grabbing her leg and throwing a punch, which is met by a punch of her own. However, Itadori then knocks her hand away and strikes her in the stomach with the palm. How am I feeling all of this so much? Even now you didn't make this much of a hit, she thinks. Hikari then jumps in with his signature wild yet coordinated fighting style, but even he is defeated much like everyone else in terms of hand-to-hand combat. They have been doing this for hours. I think that's enough of a warm-up, don't you? Asks Yuji. Yep. As the men's cursed energy released, they finally began to use their techniques, and Maki unveiled her soul split katana and will no longer hold back anything. And now it's a free-for-all for everyone to do anything against Itadori. Rika, Ryoiki Tenkai. Maki charges and strikes down her blade, caving the ground beneath them right as Hikari's domain grabs a hold of them all. Now finding themselves on train tracks, Hikari attacks Itadori, who just had his mind filled with info regarding this domain, and he's left a bit stunned, so he's struck in the face. That's seriously broken, he remarks. He's not quite far as Yuta and Rika chase him down and begin to force him into a 1v2. A train then begins to arrive, and Itadori manages to land before then leaping right as it drives past, and he holds his hand up, hanking 2 sword strikes from Yuta and Maki, only for Rika to blindside him from the front, exiting her dark space and clobbering him in the face. Come on, Itadori, you needed to get used to this, shouts Yuta. Yuji lands on the train's top and doesn't look at all disheveled, only raising his hands once again. Yeah, I think you guys forgot my original technique. He sees Maki running alongside the ceiling and coming down as she shouts, "If this domain active, won't be easy to use it." Really? Suddenly she freezes, unable to move, and is struck in the stomach by a black flash that quite literally knocks her out of the bounds of the domain, much to Yuta and Hikari's shock. Yuji then sidesteps, avoiding a trail of cracks through space, when suddenly the train and the domain disappear. This catches both Yuta and Yuji off guard, but then Hikari begins to laugh. Yes! There's the jackpot. Oof! The sorcerer, blessed by luck, explodes with an enormous amount of unending cursed energy, right as he sways back, avoiding a thrown folder, when it shatters, releasing a piercing blood that skewers through his chest, leaving him stunned. However, it only lasts for a moment, as he forcefully heals himself by pushing reverse cursed energy through every orifice in his body, and he charges along with Yuta, who manifests Rika once again. Rika claws and smashes with her massive hands, while Akari's cursed energy property leaves every hit stinging and ripping Yuji's flesh. But he quickly adapts to their pattern, and while healing himself, he starts to dodge and dodge, only to be struck in the back by a punch from Maki as he spews blood. But then he spits that blood out and motions his hand towards Rika and pierces her face. Yuta then already attacks from above again and shouts, "Don't move." The moment Yuji freezes, Hikari cocks back his fist and aims for a liver shot. Maki is about to swing at his back, and Yuta is about to skewer his head, but Yuji smiles as they all suddenly back away as blood rains down, piercing through the floor for many feet. "I'm only just beginning," says Yuji. "Good. So are we," shouts Maki. "Yuta, do it!" As he's dropped and heals himself, Yuta puts on his ring. But then Yuji expands his own domain, and so the battle, survival, and growth continues. All sorts of training took place as more and more sorcerers joined the cause. This is, after all, Sukuna, and having Yuji, Yuta, and Gojo, just in case it doesn't work out and any of them die, there is a backup for each capable of defying the natural laws of Jujutsu on a whim. They just want to be absolutely certain. 24th of October. Lord Sukuna, I know the battle was set at Shinjuku, but what if we don't need to worry about the specifics, Sukuna says. Challenge accepted, bastard. Far ahead to the horizon of the city, Sukuna can sense his other half. It's bizarre, but there he is. Yuji Itadori stands alone on a skyscraper as he breathes in and out before he lowers his stance. Sukuna does the same, and it's as if Urami became suffocated. Hi. A massive volley of slashes move forward as Yuji flies forward, enveloping himself with the contours of his domain as he begins to free fall while the barrier deflects each and every slash that may come his way. But the city around him is torn to pieces. Sukuna begins to move forward as well as he kicks off the air itself and finds numerous piercing blood attacks coming at him. Using domain amplification on himself, he tanks and deflects the attacks, which slice through the buildings like nothing. The moment Yuji lands, he runs forward past an underpass and stops as the crumbling city behind pushes dust into his sight. This is when the king makes his entrance. The strongest sorcerer in history against the strongest prodigy of today. Itadori Yuji. Today, you die. No, you. The sorcerers move forward with their cursed energy raging as they clash in hand to hand. Itadori bats away all of Sukuna's multiple arms, but eventually is struck down by 2 of them, the upper ones. However, Yuji shatters as from behind Sukuna is clobbered in the head by a black flash, sending him flying. While moving through the air, he turns and fires a dismantle, which is deflected by Yuji and destroys the bridge behind. Sukuna kicks off the ground and backflips onto a traffic light but darts to another adjacent to it as that one is turned to sashimi. But then he freezes mid-air and Yuji moves in, clobbering him with another black flash, throwing him into a hotel. Sukuna escapes into a hallway and he starts to slide down as the hall and the entire building begin to topple. He releases massive cleaves in all directions, leaving him surrounded by rubble. And Yuji uses this and comes from behind, jumping off a boulder. Sukuna turns and envelops himself with domain amplification as he tanks another black flash. His soul. Though Sukuna begins to bleed from his mouth, he begins to quickly heal, smirking and grabbing both Yuji's hands as he turns off domain amplification for a split second, whilst he slams both his lower arms into Yuji, who shatters. Yuji clobbers him from above, and another clone moves from below, blowing off its own hands and propelling them forward with blood to pierce through the mouth of Sukuna, the one that he has on his stomach, before Yuji from above clenches fist. Explode. Spreading through Sukuna's body, all the blood, as noticed by Sukuna, poison. Now, as his title states, Sukuna might be called the king of poisons, but that doesn't really mean he's immune to it. He's very resistant, but the amount of poison that Yuji has concocted together with the help of his friends, yeah, no. Sukuna begins to fall along with the rubble as the clones disappear and the original Yuji is waiting 20 meters away on a bridge railing. Like that, Sukuna? Alive. Fucking brat. Yuji leaps, avoiding a flying dismantle that cleaves the bridge in two before Itadori lands, and the moment he touches the road, his eyes see dotted lines tracing along the road, reaching Sukuna, whose entire body seemed covered in them. Hi. Suddenly the road would lift as it's perfectly torn like ribbons, and Sukuna's flesh is sliced through, reaching his bones as he barely uses domain amplification to stop the attack from digging any further. Right as he falls to one knee, he holds his hands together. Damn, they're already getting into it, says Kugisaki. Anyone else getting chills? Trust the process, Gojo says. I should be out there, though. No time to feel bitter, Satoru, Kashimo remarks. But you could always face me. You're too weak. Ha, fair enough. I'm trying to listen, damn it. I can't believe he's doing it too. A domain with no barrier. Sukuna's shrine destroys everything in its path while Itadori's boxes chase Sukuna, who simultaneously uses domain amplification to bat away at them with his bare fists while he moves towards Itadori. Another box appears before him, however, and transforms into a clone. Move. As he strikes at his chest, however, the clone moves not a step and returns his punch with one to his jaw, releasing the sparks of black. Everyone's eyes are glued to the screen as they marvel at the spectacle, but everything that's happening shouldn't be possible. Sukuna using domain amplification while using his own domain, and Itadori is somehow still using a complex part of his technique while keeping Sukuna's slashes at bay from him by deploying his boxes at the right time. Is a barreless domain really that rare? Asked Momo. Imagine a cup of water, says Kusakabe. Okay. Now the cup is gone, but the water is still there. Huh? It's theoretically impossible, Gojo says. It took me all before I got it down. It's like painting on air. But how is a clone tanking Sukuna's blows so easily now? Well, I would let you guess, but I'll just tell you, Gojo says. He put Yuki's research to work real quick. What we're seeing is the technique of Awasaka incarnated temporarily into a vessel. All of them were left stunned with Mei saying, he used my Uyui's technique, didn't he? He's not paying you for it. Like how everyone else switched bodies with people to learn certain skills, Yuji just put that to work and used the copied brain of Awasaka and Ogami, summoning body information by using that to bring only his technique to the clone. Now the clone, however, slides past and under Sukuna and springs up, kicking him on the back. Both them pummel the king alternately perfectly without missing a beat. Okay, once I wear him out, I can use my archive and crush him. Just then, however, he begins to lose balance as he looks down. One of his legs has been cut off. Oh no! A slash came back, says Satoru. From behind Itadori, many of these slashes that were just thrown past him as he's falling are just hacking right into his back. But he uses the blood that's connecting his leg to reattach and heal himself before rolling and turning and using domain amplification to cancel out all the remaining slashes on impact. That's not gonna work. Sukuna breaks the clones just then, but he feels this impending sense of doom right away when two boxes appear right before him and press down on him, grinding away at his defense. Rush. The attack prevails, targeting Sukuna's soul right as both their domains disappear. The winner of the first domain battle is Itadori Yuji. As the boxes disappear, Sukuna's eyes are shown blank as he spews blood, but catches himself as his second mouth begins to chant while he regains consciousness slowly. Round 2, Sukuna, says Yuji. Yoiki Tenkai. As both shout this, everyone watches on shocked, but this battle has only just begun.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat. You'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs and go tick tick. Boom, you blow me that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's ramen.